Space, program review order, same as always. Numbers first, then the schedule, then the interlocks. Nobody proposes a date until we've scored yesterday. K, you ask for honest, you'll get honest.
Good. Score it like you'd score a vendor. No partial credit for intentions.
Space, fleet state as of your 846 screenshots. Sub A, max 20x, 51% of the 5-hour session used. Resets in about 2 hours 18. Weekly all models, 66%. Resets Wednesday, 8 p.m. Fable weekly, 67%. Sub B, max 20x, 3% session, 58% weekly resetting. Friday, 9 a.m. Fable at 40%. Space. Sub C Pro, no session open, 13% weekly. Resets Monday, 1:59 p.m. And it's carrying the boosted Claude code limits through August 19. Those are the tanks.
Run the doctrine arithmetic before anyone attaches feelings to those numbers. Priority is extractable before reset over remaining time. Sub A has 34% of a week left and about 3.5 days to Wednesday's reset. Call it 9.7 points per day it must burn or strand. Sub B has 42% left and nearly 6 days, about 7.1 per day. So the fresh workhorse label on B is misleading in exactly the way the doctrine warns about. A is the urgent asset, B is the deep reserve. Read live state, not labels.
Space. Noted. And that flows into today's plan later. Local GPU next. Give me the 4090s day.
What? Daytime was the best block the card has had. Full Fucheng Guoyu season out, C14 through C17 rendered and shipped. Mythbusters E17 overnight build from the 7th cleaned up. Voice stack ran alongside. That's a real day.
Space. And the night?
Null stale. No lease, no work, 8+ hours of a 4090 doing nothing. The night 3 fumble. C18 already did the autopsy. We're not reopening it. We're scoring it.
Space. Then the score is simple. Daytime utilization, excellent. Overnight 0, well window somewhere near half of what the hardware could give. The idle 4090 night is the single biggest wasted resource block of the last day. Bigger than any token overspend, because tokens have a reset and the night does not come back.
That's the right way to rank it. The subscriptions are renewable flows. The GPU night is a stock that expires at dawn. Wasting a flow costs you money. Wasting the stock costs you a training run that now has to compete with tonight's window. The system paid for entropy and received entropy.
Space. Score it an A- day and an F night. And the F is a process failure with a known root cause and a known fix, which makes tonight's 22 window a test article. We'll gate it in the day plan. Anthropic burn, did the spend map to value?
Mandarin season, yes. The 66% on sub A is mostly that, and the season is delivered. So that burn bought a shipped artifact. Convening lane is the asterisk. Spexed but stalled until 8:55 this morning. Spend without motion for most of a day.
I defend the exchange rate on A. 2/3 of a weekly budget converted into a complete rendered season is one of the better token to artifact ratios this fleet has produced. The convening stall wasn't a spend problem. It was a scheduling problem. The lane had no owner of the moment. Different failure class, different fix.
Space, agreed, but it still goes in the ledger as burn that didn't move. Honest scoring means the asterisk is written down. QN 3.8 invocations yesterday?
0. It sat.
Space, 0.
And that 0 is the most important number in this review, because the October architecture leans on that lane. An unused router is an unrehearsed router. Right now, QN 3.8 is a load-bearing element of the transition plan with no flight history in the current workload mix. If we walk into October with the rehearsal count still at 0, the plan is fiction.
What? Agreed. It gets a daily floor starting today. Put it in the schedule section.
Space. Utilization scorecard, then local GPU day, excellent. Local GPU night, 0, worst block of the 24 hours. Sub A burn, high and well spent. Convening lane, funded, stalled, asterisk. Sub B and C, appropriately held in reserve. QN 3.8 unused, which is now a named risk. Anyone dispute the scorecard?
No, it's honest. Move to schedule.
Space, schedule. The target is K wrote at 3 Max 20 Plus Pro, down to 1 Max 20 Plus Pro, down to OpenRouter with Harmony Sonnet as the Anthropic Watcher only in October. Before I turn that arrow chain into dates, one discrepancy on the record. The spec start state says 3 Max 20s. The live screenshots show 2 Max 20s in a Pro space. Either there's a third Max 20 that wasn't in the screenshot set, or the collapse has already started and the spec start state is stale.
What? Don't guess it. put it on my confirm list next to the renewal dates. The room plans against what it can see, 2 Max 20 Plus Pro. And if a third exists, it slots into step 1 without changing the shape.
Space. Accepted. Planning basis is the visible fleet. Now my rule, and it's the same rule I've always run, every step gets a date, a gate, an abort mode, and an owner. A date without a gate is a wish. A gate without an abort mode is a cliff. Space. And nothing in this schedule keys off a renewal date we haven't confirmed. Those dates are the load-bearing unknowns. So every date I put down is provisional against case confirmation.
Then define the end state precisely before working backward, because watcher only hides 3 functions that don't get to degrade. The watcher must guarantee the telegram relay, the escalators, and the K interface. Everything else, render, drafting, convening bulk, is allowed to leave Anthropic. Those 3 are not. The transition is really a theorem. Those 3 functions fit inside pro-tier volume. Sub-C's own numbers are the first evidence. 13% of a weekly budget while carrying real chores. The watcher role is smaller than that.
Space. Good. End state defined. Step 0 starts today, and its instrumentation, the daily utilization ledger, which we'll name in interlocks. You cannot gate a transition on error rates you aren't measuring. Owner is the Harmony Sonnet lane, first line written tonight.
And step 0 includes the QN 3.8 floor, 20 invocations a day minimum, real work, not synthetic pings. Routing rehearsal starts now, not September.
Space. Written. Step 1. September 1, stand up the OpenRouter lane in shadow mode. It carries a real slice of render and convening load in parallel with the Anthropic lanes. Same prompts, live traffic, its outputs used where they pass and discarded where they don't. Space. Gate to exit shadow. 14 consecutive days of render and convening load with error rate under 1% and 0 dropped telegram relays attributable to the lane. That's the gate shape the spec asked for with the N and the X filled in, 14 and 1.
One refinement, the shadow slice should be routed by QN 3.8, not hand assigned. Otherwise you rehearse the destination but not the router. And the router is the component with 0 flight history. The gate should test the compose system. QN 3.8 decides, OpenRouter executes, ledger records.
Space. Amended. The gate covers the routed pipeline end to end. Abort mode for step 1. If the gate fails by September 15, shadow mode extends and nothing downstream moves. All subs renew as is. A failed gate here costs a month of schedule, not a capability.
What? Cheap abort. Good.
Space. Step 2. October 1, provisional on renewals. Drop to 1 Max 20 Plus Pro. 2 gates, both mandatory. Gate A, step 1, shadow gate passed and held. Gate BK has confirmed renewal dates, and the drop executes at a renewal boundary. We do not eat a mid-cycle cancellation on a Max 20. Space. Abort mode. The doomed sub renews 1 more month at current tier, and step 2 slides 30 days. Which sub survives is not a schedule question, it's a custody question, and I'm deferring it to interlocks.
Flag it now, so the schedule reserves the slot. The survivor is chosen by vault weight, not by utilization. We'll argue it in interlocks.
Space reserved. Step 3, October 15, primary volume shifts to OpenRouter. The remaining Max 20 drops to hot spare duty. It exists to absorb failover, not daily load. Space. Gate OpenRouter has carried at least 70% of total daily load for 10 consecutive days with a step 1 error bar holding, and the watcher lane on Pro has begun carrying the relay and escalators in parallel. Space. Abort mode, volume shifts back to the Max 20, OpenRouter returns to shadow, and we hold at 1 Max 20 Plus Pro indefinitely, which is a perfectly stable plateau, not a failure state.
Say that last part in the table. The abort plateau being livable is the whole reason this plan is safe to attempt.
Space. It'll be in the table. Step 4, October 31, release the last Max 20. End state, OpenRouter primary, Harmony Sonnet on Pro is Anthropic watcher only. This is the step with my reliability bar on it, stated as a number in interlocks, and the gate is that bar demonstrated, not promised, over a 14-day window at real volume before the sub is released. Space. Abort mode, the last Max 20 renews month to month. We re-review at each fleet room, and there is no pressure to jump. A hot spare at Max 20 is cheap insurance against an irreversible feeling release.
Note the asymmetry that makes the schedule sound. Every abort mode is stay where you are, and everywhere you are is a working configuration. There's no step where failing the gate strands the system in a broken intermediate. That's the property to preserve if K edits the dates.
Space, that's the property I designed for. Space, the table verbatim for the transcript. Step, date, action, gate, abort mode, owner. OG9, daily utilization ledger live, Quen 3, space, 8 floor, 20 real invocations dot, ledger written nightly starting tonight, none, instrumentation is unconditional harmony sonnet, ledger K-seat Quen floor, 1, SEP1 open router, shadow lane, slice routed by Q Quen 3, space, 8, 14 consecutive days, render press conventing load, error rate 1%, 0 drop TG relays by 610 shadow, all subs renew as is, downstream slides, Gwynne bar, Fable seat build, 2 OC1 space, that's the artifact.
It's signed as the room's recommendation. I seeded the shape. This is the shape with gates on it, correctable when I'm back from the canal, but it stands unless I strike it.
Space. Recommendation logged as decided incorrectable per doctrine interlocks. First, OAuth custody because it decides step 2 survivor. Joscha, you flagged vault wait.
The vault is keyed by sub-id. Kill a sub and every OAuth vaulted under it dies with it. Each remint costs roughly 10% of a block in attach. So the objective function for choosing the survivor is minimize total remints. That means you count attached OAuths per sub, a number nobody in this room has, so it goes on K's confirm list, and the max 20 with the heavier vault survives, regardless of which one has prettier utilization curves this week. Custody outranks utilization here because attach cost is paid in the exact resource we're trying to conserve.
Space and the doomed subs OAuths.
Reminted onto the survivor or onto C before the drop during a low burn window, budgeted explicitly. 10% of a block each, so the ledger should carry a line item for the migration rather than letting it ambush a working day. And one move we should make immediately, not in October. Any OAuth the watcher role needs gets minted on sub C now. C persists through every step of that table. It's the only sub-id that survives the whole transition, and it's sitting at 13% weekly with boosted limits until August 19. Minting watcher credentials on C this week is nearly free and removes an entire class of October surprise.
Do it this week while the boost is live. That's the kind of move the boost exists for.
Space in the ledger as a step 0 task. Second interlock, what watcher only must still guarantee. Joscha named the 3 functions, TG relay, escalators, K interface. Space. Here's my bar as a number because K asked for a number and the release gate is built on it. The Anthropic watcher lane holds 99.5% uptime over a rolling 14-day window. Telegram relay P95 under 60 seconds. And 0 missed escalations, not low 0, because an escalator that misses once is not an escalator. Space. All 3 measured at real volume on sub C before step 4 executes. If the watcher can't demonstrate that on Pro while the max 20 safety net is still up, we do not release the net.
The 0 on escalations is right and worth defending. Uptime and latency are throughput properties. They degrade gracefully, and 99.5 is an honest engineering number for a single sublane, but the escalator is the system's pain signal. An organism that averages its pain signals is an organism that loses limbs. 0 misses, and any miss during the demonstration window resets the 14 days.
Space, window resets on any miss. That's now part of the gate. Third interlock today. It's Sunday. The K River is expected on the wire, and the training window opens at 22. Joscha already did the arithmetic. A must burn 9.7 points a day to Wednesday or strand them. B only 7.1 to Friday.
So the doctrine assignment writes itself. A carries today's bulk, the convening lane now that it's unstalled, and any batchable work precisely because it's mid-burn with an early reset. Spending A today is free in fleet terms. Those points evaporate Wednesday evening either way. B stays holstered for the K River search, where you want a lane with a 3% session and 42% of a week behind it, no risk of hitting a ceiling mid-river.
What? And C takes the Claude code chores while the boost is live. It's at 13% with a Monday afternoon reset, which means it also has points to burn before they vanish. Plus the watcher OAuthos minting lands there anyway. C earns its keep today.
Space. Assignments. A, convening lane and batch. Burn it toward the Wednesday reset without apology. B, K River standby. First call when the wire lights up. C, Claude code chores plus watcher credential minting under the boost. And the 22 ID window. The lease is armed by 2130, verified by a second seat, because we are not scoring a second F night in the same review series. Space. Fable seat armed sonnet lane verifies at 2145, and the verification is a ledger line, not a vibe.
What? Fable arms, sonnet verifies, ledger, or it didn't happen. Agreed.
Space. Fourth interlock, the monitorable. Name the file in the writer, so the next fleet room opens with a delta instead of an archaeology dig.
ledgerfleetdaily.jsonl. 1 line per day written by the Harmony Sonnet lane at 2359 per sub-session and weekly percentages. 4090 duty cycle split day and night, queue when and 3.8 invocation count against its floor of 20, and any gate relevant event. Shadow errors once step 1 starts. Relay latencies once the watcher rehearses. And notice the structural elegance. The entity writing this ledger is the entity that becomes the October watcher. Every night of ledger keeping is a rehearsal of exactly the reliability we're going to demand of it. The monitorable and the flight qualification program are the same artifact.
Space, which means by October 31, the watcher will have roughly 80 consecutive nights of demonstrated punctuality before we hang the fleet on it. That's how you build a reliability case. You don't assert it, you accumulate it. First line lands tonight, and tonight's line already scores today. 3 sub-assignments, the Quen floor and the 2130 lease arm.
Good. That file is also where the daily utilization score lives. The thing this room spent its first 20 turns reconstructing by hand. Never again. The score is a read, not a meeting.
Space. Case confirm list on return complete. 1, renewal dates for every sub, because 3 table dates are provisional against them. 2, whether a third max 20 exists outside the screenshot set. 3, OAuth counts per subid, so Joscha can compute vault weight for the step 2 survivor. 4, sign off or strike on the recommendation table as log. Space, nothing else in this room blocks on K.
Then the summary in one breath. Yesterday, the system had an excellent metabolism and slept badly. Great daytime conversion. A dead night and a router with no reps. Today, it fixes all 3. A burns down honestly. B waits for the river. C mints the future's credentials. Quen gets its 20. And at 21:30, someone proves the night is leased. The October plan is sound not because its dates are right, they're provisional, but because every gate fails onto solid ground.
Numbers scored, schedule gated, interlocks owned. That's a real program review. Thanks both.
Space. Then we're adjourned. Next fleet room opens by reading fleetdaily.jsonl, and the first thing I'll look at is whether tonight's lease line exists. Fly the plan.